Hey everyone, Jennifer Krosch here. Welcome back to Living in Sioux Falls. If you've been wondering whether the Sioux Falls housing market is heating up, cooling down, or just doing its own thing, you're in the right place. Today we're going to break down May 2026 market statistics for the Sioux Falls area and what they actually mean if you're thinking about buying, selling, or investing in real estate. So let's jump right in. The biggest takeaway from May is that home values continued moving upward. The median sales price across the Sioux Empire increased from $330,000 last May to $345,000 this year. That's a gain of 4.5% year over year. So what does this mean? A home that sold for $330,000 a year ago would be worth roughly $15,000 more today. Even with higher interest rates and economic uncertainty, buyers are still competing for quality homes, and that's helping keep prices moving higher. For homeowners, that's good news because the equity continues to build. Inventory is still tight. One statistic that really stood out this month is inventory. The Sioux Empire currently has 1,466 homes available for sale. That's down 33.5% from a year ago. Months of supply fell from 6 months to 3.4 months, which that's a decrease of 43%. For perspective, a 6-month inventory is generally considered a balanced market. Less than 4 months usually favors sellers. Less than 3 months can create bidding wars. At 3.4 months, we're still operating in a seller-favored market. There just simply isn't enough homes available to satisfy demand. Normally, spring is when listings surge, but in May, new listings actually declined. The Sioux Empire saw 760 new listings, which is down almost 10% from last year. Year to date, we're still down 3%. This is one of the major reasons inventory remains tight. Homeowners are sitting on low mortgage rates from a few years ago, and they're not eager to give those up. As a result, we're seeing fewer homes come available than what we typically expect during the busiest season of the year. Now, here's the statistic that caught everyone's attention. Pending sales jumped from 451 last May to 909 this May. That's a 101.6% increase. Year to date, pending sales are also up nearly 45%. What does this tell us? Buyers are still very active. Despite higher mortgage rates, people continue to relocate to Sioux Falls, move up, downsize, and purchase investment properties. Demand hasn't disappeared. In fact, contract activity would suggest many buyers have simply adjusted to the current rate environment and are moving forward with their plans. Closed sales were down a bit. May recorded 448 closed transactions compared to 464 last year. That's a decrease of 3.4%. But remember, closed sales reflect deals that started weeks or months ago. With pending sales surging so dramatically, there's a strong chance we'll see some of that activity show up in future closing numbers. This is why I always tell clients not to focus on one statistic. The full picture matters. One of the most common questions I hear is, Jennifer, are homes still selling quickly? The answer is yes, but depending on price and condition. The average days on market remain unchanged at 93 days. That doesn't mean every home sits for 3 months. Well-priced homes in desirable neighborhoods often sell faster. The average is influenced by high-end properties, specialty homes, acreages, and listings that start overpriced and require reduction. The biggest takeaway, if your home is priced correctly and presented well, buyers are still out there. So, are buyers negotiating more? A little bit. Homes sold for an average of 97.5% of its original list price. That's down only 0.1% from last year. That tells us sellers are still maintaining strong negotiation positions. Buyers have slightly more room to negotiate than they did during the frenzy of 2021 and 2022, but we're definitely not seeing huge discounts become common. If we focus specifically on the Sioux Falls city limits, we'll see a very similar story. Median prices rose to $339,950, which is up 3% from last year. New listings fell nearly 8%, while inventory dropped more than 34%. The city market remains remarkably resilient, even with affordability changes and interest rates higher than what many buyers became accustomed to. Demand for Sioux Falls housing remains strong. If you're thinking about selling, home values remain strong, inventory remains limited, buyer demand remains healthy, and homes that show well, are priced correctly, are still attracting attention. The mistake I see sellers make is assuming every home will sell regardless of condition. Today's buyers are even more selective than they were a few years ago. Presentation, pricing, and strategy matter more than ever. Don't let headlines scare you if you're a buyer. Yes, rates are higher than a few years ago, but inventory is still relatively low. Prices continue rising, and waiting for the major market crash simply hasn't happened in Sioux Falls. In many cases, the best move is buying the right home when it fits your budget and long-term goals rather than trying to perfectly time the market. Overall, May 2026 tells us one thing: the Sioux Falls market remains surprisingly strong. Prices are rising, inventory is tight, pending sales are surging, and buyers continue to enter the market despite interest rate challenges. If you're wondering what those numbers mean specifically to your neighborhood, your home value, or your buying plans, I'd be happy to help. I'm Jennifer Krosch with Krosch Real Estate, eXp Realty. If you found this update helpful, be sure to like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who's thinking about buying or selling in the Sioux Falls area. And until next time, thanks for watching Living in Sioux Falls.